Okay, so this is going to be about how to do a progress note. Sorry, I'm a little stuffed up. I've got a cold at the moment. But this is pretty simple. The progress note is very similar to the other steps that we've taken. The progress note, I'll show you if it's going to be designated already on the schedule or you need to change the designation on the schedule. Again, it's a left double click. Change the appointment type here to a progress note. And then it's going to show up on the schedule in this color. Now, you don't have to do that. And more often than not, well, I shouldn't say that. We try to keep good track of when somebody needs a progress note for authorization. And that's really the biggest reason why we're going to need to make sure that we get those progress notes done when it's calling for them, essentially, is because they need authorization. That can be like your workers' comp. A lot of the Anthem plans need authorization now. Cigna, most of those, some of your Martin's Point. But at any rate, you start this documentation the same way you would any other. You can go home and click on your dashboard, or again, you just right click, documentation. I usually go to my flow sheet. Now, when you're here in your flow sheet, I can't show you a good example of it at the moment, but if this patient had no authorization, it would show right up here, right next to the appointment type and the date. There'll be a number counting down to give you an indication of how many visits are left. So it's always good if you know that they have authorizations, keep track of that number. We try to keep track of it as well. The other indication that a progress note is required is that there's going to be an orange box here that shows up. You can't miss it. It's right below all of this with your header information up here, flow sheets. It's going to be right up here above, basically below the time in, time out, and above all your patient information on the flow sheet. It'll say something to the effect like a progress note is required because they don't have their certification period has ended. For Medicare, it tracks down it counts down those 10 visits you have before a progress note's required. And there's a few other indicators in here that could tell you. Again, just try to stay up to date on that. So let's go right into the progress note. You do the same thing. You have a daily note you have to do here. You have to still put in what you did on that day. That's what's going to generate your charges. You come over here to the note section of that daily note, and you can say see progress note, see flow sheet, type properly, progress note. That's all you have to do here, and then you just save it. Okay, so we've got this done. We come all the way over now to our notes section. I've pointed out a couple small glitches in the system, and this is one of them. When you come here, and you'll get accustomed to this after you do it a couple times, but when you come over here, you can update your goals right away. So we're in the notes section now, but it automatically just opens up the goals, which is kind of convenient. You can come down here and play with your goals. Let's say that they've met this goal, they're progressing here, whatever you want to check. And anything that you update, you do anything to, it's going to highlight in green. That means it's going to include it in the note. Right at the end of the note, all the goals that you've updated will populate there. You can also, if you want to just make sure all the goals show up, regardless if you've checked them or not, you just hit that button I just clicked, and it's trying to save it, but you just click right here, all in today's notes. Now, to get the progress note populated, it's funny, you have to come up here, click off from it to any other note, and then go back to the progress note. And now once you do that, it's opened up a progress note. Why it is that way, I don't know. It's a little bug in the system. Maybe even by the time you watch this, they will have fixed that. So your progress note is going to be a mirror image of either the last progress note you did, or it'll be a mirror image of the initial evaluation. So again, the same thing, you go through this the same way you want. If there's any sections that you don't want included in this progress note, you can simply delete them. You can come up here, you didn't do any palpation, you don't want that to show up again, you've deleted it. You go through the note the same way you would otherwise. You might have to add a new certification period. That might be the reason why you're doing this progress note. If that's the case, we're going to edit this. We're not going to delete any of these or edit any of these. What you're going to do is add a new one. You're going to add a new one that is tied to the progress note that we're doing today. I have these set in June of 2025. So I'm going to come down here and pick that progress note. If it's Medicare, it's 90 days. If it's commercial, it's 120 days. If you're not sure, just put 90 days. The worst that happens is we do a progress note sooner than we needed to. But you should be pretty sure what they have for insurance. But if you're just kind of not sure what to do at the time, Medicare Advantage versus commercial, just put the 90 days and then we'll do a progress note sooner. That's totally fine. Good. That's all there is to it. It's got our new certification here. Now it's just 90 days. When you're finished with it, you'll hit your ready to review or your lock, depending on where you're at in the process. Let's just go right into how to do a discharge too. I changed my mind there. Let's stop right here.